First contact and crash landing. The night sky above the New Mexico desert erupted in a blaze of light, a streak of fire cutting through the darkness. Dr. Sarah Chen, hunched over her telescope at the nearby observatory, gasped as she tracked the object's descent. This was no meteor. Its trajectory was too controlled, too purposeful. Sarah's heart raced as she quickly gathered her equipment. At 32, she was the youngest lead astrophysicist at the facility, known for her brilliant mind and unorthodox theories about extraterrestrial life. Tonight, it seemed those theories might be proven true. She jumped into her rugged Jeep, dust billowing behind her as she sped towards the estimated crash site. The radio crackled with reports of a possible satellite malfunction, but Sarah knew better. This was the moment she'd been waiting for her entire career. As she approached the impact zone, Sarah killed the engine and lights, proceeding on foot. The desert night was eerily quiet, save for the occasional coyote howl. Then she saw it, a sleek silver craft, unlike anything of human design, half buried in the sand. Sarah's scientific curiosity warred with caution as she crept closer. Suddenly, a panel on the craft slid open with a hiss. She ducked behind a boulder, heart pounding, as a figure emerged. It was tall, at least 7 feet, with iridescent blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. Its limbs were long and graceful, ending in 6-fingered hands. But it was the eyes that caught Sarah's attention, large, almond-shaped, and a deep violet that seemed to glow from within. The alien stumbled, clearly injured. It let out a sound, a mix between a growl and a whimper, before collapsing onto the desert floor. Sarah's instincts kicked in, alien or not. This was a being in pain. She emerged from her hiding spot, hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm here to help," she said softly, approaching slowly. The alien's head snapped up, those violet eyes locking onto her. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect, albeit accented, English. "Stay back, worthless primate," it snarled, attempting to push itself up. "I need no assistance from a primitive species barely out of its evolutionary infancy." Sarah blinked, taken aback by both the alien's command of her language and its apparent disdain. "Look," she said, her scientific excitement giving way to irritation. "I don't care if you're from Mars or Andromeda. You're hurt, and I'm the only one around who can help. So drop the superior act, and let me take a look at those injuries." The alien seemed stunned by her boldness. Sarah realized. He studied her for a long moment before slumping back in apparent defeat. "Very well, Earth creature. I suppose even a monkey may have its uses." Biting back a retort, Sarah approached and began examining the alien. His blue skin was marred by deep gashes, oozing a silvery liquid she assumed was blood. One of his long legs was bent at an unnatural angle. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen," she said as she worked, applying pressure to the worst of the wounds with strips torn from her jacket. "Do you have a name?" The alien was quiet for so long, she thought he might not answer. Finally, he spoke. "I am Kylax, science officer of the Zorak." "The Zorak? Is that your ship?" Sarah asked, gesturing to the crashed craft. Kylax nodded, wincing as Sarah set about creating a makeshift splint for his leg. "It was a scouting vessel. We were not meant to make contact with your kind." "Not yet." Sarah's mind raced with questions, but she forced herself to focus on the immediate problem. "We need to get you somewhere safe. There will be others coming to investigate the crash." As if on cue, the distant whir of helicopter blades cut through the night air. Kylax tensed, his violet eyes widening with what Sarah recognized as fear. "You must not let them find me," he hissed. "My presence here could spark an interstellar incident. My people, they are not all as peaceful as I." The implications of his words sent a chill down Sarah's spine. She made a split-second decision that would change the course of human history. "Can you walk?" she asked, helping Kylax to his feet. All 3 of them, she noted with fascination. He nodded, leaning heavily on her. "Where will you take me, Earth creature?" "First of all, it's Sarah," she corrected, guiding him towards her jeep. "And I'm taking you to my research facility. It's remote, secure, and has medical supplies. But more importantly," she added, helping him into the vehicle, "it has the most advanced astronomical equipment on the planet, which means it's our best shot at figuring out why you're really here and what's coming next." As Sarah gunned the engine, speeding away from the crash site, just as the first government vehicles crested the horizon, she couldn't help but smile. Her whole life, she'd looked to the stars, hoping for proof that humanity wasn't alone in the universe. Now, with an injured alien in her passenger seat and the weight of an impending interstellar crisis on her shoulders, Dr. Sarah Chen realized that sometimes the universe had a way of answering in the most unexpected ways. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would test the limits of human ingenuity, challenge long-held beliefs, and ultimately determine the fate of two civilizations. Unlikely alliance. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon as Sarah's jeep rumbled up to the research facility. She punched in her access code, glancing nervously at the rearview mirror. So far, they hadn't been followed, but she knew it was only a matter of time before someone connected the dots between the crash and her mysterious absence. Kallax had been silent for most of the journey, his violet eyes taking in the passing landscape with a mix of curiosity and disdain. As they pulled into the underground parking area, he finally spoke. "Your world is more diverse than our records indicated," he admitted grudgingly. Though still primitive by Zarkonian standards. Sarah rolled her eyes as she helped him out of the vehicle. "You know, for someone whose life I just saved, you're not very good at saying thank you." Kallax blinked, his iridescent skin shifting colors slightly. A sign of emotion. Sarah guessed. Gratitude is not a concept we often express. Efficiency and duty are valued above all else. "Well, consider this a lesson in human customs," Sarah retorted, guiding him towards the elevator. "Lesson 1. When someone helps you, you say thank you." The alien was quiet for a moment as they ascended. Then, so softly she almost missed it, he muttered, "Thank you, Dr. Sarah Chen." Despite herself, Sarah smiled. Progress. The research facility was deserted at this early hour, a fact Sarah was immensely grateful for. She led Kallax to her private lab, locking the door behind them. The room was a mess of star charts, complex equations scrawled on whiteboards, and various scientific instruments. "First things first," Sarah said, pulling out a well-stocked first aid kit. "Let's get you properly patched up." As she worked on Kallax's injuries, applying antiseptic and bandages, she couldn't help but marvel at his physiology. His blood, she noticed, seemed to have subtle bioluminescent properties. His skin, while feeling smooth like a dolphin's, had an almost metallic quality to it. "Your curiosity is not unpleasant," Kallax observed, watching her work. "Perhaps there is more to your species than I initially assumed." Sarah grinned. "High praise indeed. Now, want to tell me what you were really doing in Earth's orbit? I'm guessing it wasn't just for the view." Kallax's expression grew serious. "No, it was not. Dr. Chen, what I am about to tell you may be difficult for you to hear, but the fate of your world may depend on it." Over the next hour, Kallax revealed a truth that shook Sarah to her core. His mission had been one of reconnaissance, scouting Earth's defenses in preparation for a full-scale invasion. The Zarkonian Empire, vast and resource-hungry, had set its sights on Earth as its next conquest. But why? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Surely there are uninhabited planets that would be easier to colonize." Kallax shook his head. "It is not merely about resources. Your world holds something unique. Something my people have sought for millennia. A compound in your planet's core that could revolutionize our technology, extend our lifespans exponentially. To the Empire, the potential gains far outweigh the ethical concerns of subjugating a sentient species." Sarah's mind raced, processing the implications. "And you? Do you agree with this? For the first time, Kylax looked uncertain. I'm a scientist. My duty is to gather data, not to question the ethical implications of its use. And yet, he trailed off, his gaze drifting to the star charts on Sarah's walls. Your people have accomplished much in such a short time. Your curiosity, your drive to explore and understand the universe, it reminds me of my own people, long ago, before conquest became our primary goal. Sarah saw an opening and seized it. Then help us, Kylax. You've seen what humanity is capable of. Give us a chance to prove ourselves worthy of survival. Kylax was silent for a long moment, internal conflict evident in his shifting skin tones. Finally, he met Sarah's gaze. What you ask is tantamount to treason. And yet, perhaps it is time for the Zarkonian Empire to remember its roots. Very well, Dr. Chen. I will assist you in defending your world. Relief flooded through Sarah, quickly replaced by determination. Okay then. Let's get to work. How long do we have before the invasion fleet arrives? 3 of your Earth weeks, at most, Kylax replied. We must act quickly. Your world's governments must be informed, defenses prepared. Sarah nodded, already formulating a plan. I have contacts in NASA and the military, but we'll need proof, irrefutable evidence of the threat we're facing. Can you help me modify our detection systems to track the incoming fleet? For the first time since they'd met, Kylax's lips curved into what might have been a smile. Dr. Chen, I believe you will find that Zarkonian technology makes your most advanced systems look like children's toys. Shall we begin? Over the next few days, Sarah and Kylax worked tirelessly. They slept in shifts, subsisting on coffee, which Kylax found oddly appealing, and protein bars. Sarah marveled at the alien's intellect, the ease with which he grasped complex theories and improved upon them. For his part, Kylax found himself increasingly impressed by Sarah's innovative approaches and quick thinking. As they worked, they talked. Sarah learned of Kylax's world, a planet of sprawling crystal cities and endless scientific pursuits. In turn, she shared stories of human resilience, of art and music, and the indomitable human spirit. It was on the 4th day, as they put the finishing touches on a retrofitted deep space scanner, that the alarms went off. Sarah's screens lit up with urgent messages. Her absence had been noted, and questions were being asked about the mysterious crash in the desert. They're coming, Sarah said, her heart racing. We need to move now. Are you ready to face your people, Kylax? To stand with humanity against the Empire? Kylax straightened to his full height, his violet eyes gleaming with newfound purpose. I stand with you, Dr. Sarah Chen. For the sake of both our peoples, we must succeed. As they hurriedly gathered their equipment and prepared to face the storm that was coming, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the unlikeliness of their alliance. An alien who had once sneered at humanity as worthless primates, now Earth's greatest hope for survival. The next few weeks would test them both, pushing the limits of human ingenuity and alien technology. But as they stepped out of the lab together, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. With Kylax by her side, humanity might just have a fighting chance. Little did they know, their unlikely partnership was about to spark a chain of events that would reshape the galaxy itself. Race against time. The New Mexico desert blurred past as Sarah's Jeep sped along the highway, kicking up a trail of dust in its wake. In the passenger seat, Kylax hunched down, his alien features hidden beneath a hastily donned hoodie and sunglasses. Are you certain this disguise will suffice? He asked, fidgeting with the unfamiliar clothing. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle despite the gravity of their situation. Well, you look less like an alien and more like a very tall, very blue person with a skin condition. It'll have to do for now. Their destination was a top-secret military facility nestled in the Rocky Mountains, a place Sarah had only heard whispers about during her time with NASA. If anyone had the resources and authority to help them prepare for the impending invasion, it would be the people there. As they drove, Sarah's mind raced. How would they convince the military brass of the threat? Would they be believed or dismissed as crackpots? And even if they were taken seriously, could Earth's defenses possibly stand against the technological might of the Zarkonian Empire? A burst of static from the radio interrupted Sarah's thoughts. Repeat, all law enforcement agencies are on high alert. Be on the lookout for Dr. Sarah Chen, wanted for questioning in connection with the recent unidentified object incident. Sarah quickly switched off the radio, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. Well, that complicates things. Kylax turned to her, his violet eyes unreadable behind the sunglasses. Perhaps I was mistaken in involving you, Dr. Chen. The risk to your personal safety and reputation is nothing compared to the risk to our entire planet. Sarah cut him off firmly. We're in this together, Kylax. No backing out now. As they continued their journey, evading checkpoints and taking back roads, Sarah filled Kylax in on their plan. Her contact at the military facility, an old college friend named Major David Torres, had agreed to meet them secretly. It was a long shot, but it was their best chance at getting the ear of someone with real authority. Night had fallen by the time they reached the rendezvous point, a deserted gas station at the foot of the mountains. As Sarah pulled in, she saw a lone figure waiting by an unmarked SUV. That's him, she said, relief evident in her voice. Let me do the talking at first, okay? Kylax nodded, adjusting his disguise one last time. As they approached, Major Torres stepped forward, his face a mask of confusion and concern. Sarah, what the hell is going on? You're all over the news, and now you show up here with... His voice trailed off as he got a good look at Kylax. Sarah took a deep breath. David, I need you to keep an open mind. What I'm about to tell you is going to sound crazy, but I swear it's the truth. The fate of our entire world depends on you believing me. Over the next hour, Sarah and Kylax laid out everything. The impending invasion, the Zarkonian Empire's plans, and their desperate race to prepare Earth's defenses. To his credit, Major Torres listened without interruption, his expression growing more grave with each passing minute. When they finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then, to Sarah's immense relief, he nodded. I believe you. God help me, but I do. The brass has been buzzing about some anomalous readings from our deep space monitoring stations. This explains a lot. So you'll help us? Sarah asked, hope rising in her chest. I'll do what I can, Torres replied. But getting you into the facility won't be easy. You're both wanted persons now. It was Kylax who spoke up, his alien features set in determination. With respect, Major Torres, we don't have time for bureaucratic obstacles. Every moment we delay puts your world at greater risk. Surely there must be a way. Torres considered this. Then a slow smile spread across his face. Well, there might be one way. Hope you both don't mind getting a little creative with your identities. The plan, as it turned out, involved Sarah and Kylax posing as visiting scientists from a classified research project. With Torres' security clearance and some hastily forged documents, they'd managed to bluff their way past the facility's formidable security. As they descended into the heart of the mountain complex, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the scale of the operation. Vast halls filled with advanced technology, scientists, and military personnel scurrying about with purpose. Welcome to Cheyenne Mountain, Torres said, leading them to a secure briefing room, one of the most advanced defense installations on the planet. If we're going to have any chance against this alien invasion, it'll be from here. Over the next few days, Sarah and Kylax worked tirelessly, combining their knowledge to upgrade Earth's detection systems and develop potential countermeasures against Zarkonian technology. It was a race against time, with the threat of discovery constantly looming over them. But as they worked, something unexpected began to happen. The human scientists and military personnel, initially wary of Kylax, began to warm to the alien. His vast knowledge and earnest desire to help seemed to break down barriers of fear and mistrust. For his part, Kylax found himself increasingly impressed by the ingenuity and adaptability of the humans. Where Zarkonian science relied on vast resources and millennia of accumulated knowledge, these humans seemed to thrive on improvisation and thinking outside established parameters. One evening, as they took a rare break from their work, Kylax approached Sarah. "I owe you an apology, Dr. Chen," he said, his normally confident voice tinged with humility. Sarah looked up from her calculations, surprised. "What for?" "When we first met, I dismissed your species as primitive, unworthy," Kylax explained. "I see now how wrong I was. The way you humans face impossible odds with determination and hope, it is a strength my people have forgotten." Sarah smiled, touched by the alien's words. "Well, we're not out of the woods yet, but together, I think we might just have a chance." Their moment was interrupted by a blaring alarm. Major Torres burst into the room, his face pale. "We've got incoming. The Zarkonian fleet. They're here, ahead of schedule." As chaos erupted around them, Sarah and Kylax shared a look of determination. The moment of truth had arrived. Earth's fate now hung in the balance, and the unlikely alliance between a human scientist and an alien defector would be put to the ultimate test. With hearts racing and minds focused, they'd raced to implement their hastily prepared defenses. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the outcome would determine the future of not just one world, but two civilizations on the brink of momentous change. The battle begins. The command center of Cheyenne Mountain was a hive of controlled chaos. Screens flickered with real-time satellite imagery, showing the Zarkonian fleet emerging from hyperspace just beyond the moon's orbit. The ships were massive, sleek constructions of gleaming metal that dwarfed anything humanity had ever sent into space. Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all, her eyes darting between the displays as she coordinated with teams around the globe. Beside her, Kylax's fingers flew over a customized interface, translating Zarkonian communications and predicting their tactical moves. "They're deploying scout ships," Kylax announced, his voice tense. "Standard invasion protocol. They'll be looking for weaknesses in your planetary defenses." Major Torres, now fully backing their operation, turned to Sarah. "Dr. Chen, it's time. Are you ready to address the world?" Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself. In the days leading up to this moment, they had decided that she would be the one to break the news to the public. As the human face of this crisis, it fell to her to rally Earth's people in the face of an unprecedented threat. She nodded, and Torres gave the signal. Cameras focused on her as her image was broadcast to every corner of the globe. "People of Earth," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "I come to you today with news that will change our world forever. We are not alone in the universe, and right now we face a threat unlike any in human history." Over the next few minutes, Sarah laid out the situation in clear, concise terms. She explained the nature of the Zarkonian threat, the reasons behind their invasion, and the desperate measures being taken to defend the planet. "But I am not here to spread fear," she continued, her eyes blazing with determination. "I am here to tell you that we have hope. In the face of this crisis, the nations of Earth have united. Our greatest minds are working tirelessly on solutions, and we have help, an ally from among the stars who chose to stand with humanity." At this cue, Kylax stepped into frame. There was an audible gasp from the control room staff, who hadn't yet seen him without his disguise. "I am Kylax," he said, his alien features broadcast to billions of stunned viewers. "Once, I came to your world as a scout for conquest. But I have seen the spirit of humanity, the ingenuity and courage that defines your species. I stand with Earth now, against my own people, because I believe that together we can forge a better future for both our civilizations." As they concluded their address, Sarah could only hope that their words would inspire unity rather than panic. The coming days would test humanity like never before. No sooner had the broadcast ended than alarms blared through the command center. Multiple bogies entering Earth's atmosphere. A technician shouted. They're heading for major population centers. Activating planetary defense grid, Major Torres announced, his fingers flying over a control panel. Around the globe, hidden installations hummed to life. A network of energy weapons and force fields built from a fusion of human and Zarkonian technology. The first wave of alien fighters met a wall of concentrated energy beams. Explosions lit up the sky as several invaders were vaporized instantly. But more kept coming, their advanced shields adapting to the human defenses. They're learning fast, Kylax warned, his eyes fixed on the tactical displays. We need to keep changing frequencies, stay unpredictable. Sarah nodded, relaying the information to defense teams worldwide. This was the strategy they had prepared for, a constantly evolving defense, leveraging humanity's talent for adaptation against the more rigid Zarkonian tactics. As the battle raged in the skies, Sarah received reports from around the world. In London, a Zarkonian landing party was repelled by a hastily assembled force using experimental EMP weapons. In Tokyo, civilian engineers had repurposed construction mecha into makeshift combat units, surprising the invaders with their unorthodox approach. Each small victory filled Sarah with a fierce pride. Humanity was fighting back with everything they had, displaying a resourcefulness and courage that seemed to take the Zarkonians by surprise. But the aliens were far from defeated. Their main ships hung in low orbit, impervious to Earth's most powerful weapons, and with each passing hour, more Zarkonian forces made landfall. We're holding our own, Major Torres said, his voice grim. But we can't keep this up forever. We need a game changer. Sarah turned to Kylax, an idea forming. You said the Empire wants something in Earth's core. What if we could use that against them? Kylax's eyes widened as he grasped her thinking. The compound they seek, in its raw form, it emits a unique energy signature. If we could amplify that signal, we could create a massive decoy. Sarah finished, excitement building. Make them think we've weaponized the very thing they came here to steal. We could create a massive decoy. Sarah finished, excitement building. Make them think we've weaponized the very thing they came here to steal. The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity. Sarah and Kylax worked with teams around the world, coordinating a plan that would push Earth's technology to its limits. They would need to tap into the planet's geothermal network, repurpose satellite arrays, and pray that their calculations were correct. As they worked, the battle continued to rage. Cities burned, brave defenders fell, but still humanity held the line. Stories of heroism poured in from every corner of the globe, ordinary people rising to face an extraordinary threat. Finally, as dawn broke over a smoke-filled sky, Sarah gave the signal. Around the world, massive generators roared to life. The very ground seemed to hum with power as Earth itself became a weapon in humanity's defense. A pulse of energy shot skyward, enveloping the planet in a shimmering field. To the Zarkonian sensors, it would appear as if the entire world had become saturated with the compound they sought, and dangerously unstable. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the massive Zarkonian ships began to pull back, retreating to a higher orbit. It's working, Major Torres shouted, disbelief and joy warring in his voice. They're falling back. But Sarah and Kylax exchanged a worried look. This was far from over. They had bought Earth some time, but the Zarkonian Empire would not give up so easily. The real test was yet to come. As cheers erupted around them, Sarah steeled herself for the next phase of their desperate plan. They had survived the first wave, but the true battle for Earth's future was only beginning. With renewed determination, she turned to Kylax. Ready for round two? The alien nodded, a fierce loyalty burning in his eyes. With you, Dr. Chen, I believe your world just might have a chance. Together, they turned back to their work, knowing that the fate of two civilizations now hung in the balance. The Earthlings' gambit had only just begun. Turning the tide. The temporary reprieve granted by Sarah and Kylax's desperate gambit was short-lived. Within hours, the Zarkonian fleet had regrouped, their initial confusion giving way to a cold fury that threatened to rain destruction upon the Earth. In the depths of Cheyenne Mountain, Sarah pored over data streaming in from around the world. The simulated energy field they had created was already beginning to falter, and Earth's defenders were exhausted from days of continuous battle. "We've bought some time, but we need a permanent solution," she muttered, running a hand through her disheveled hair. "There has to be something we're missing." Kylax, who had been deep in thought, suddenly straightened. Perhaps we've been approaching this from the wrong angle," he said, his violet eyes gleaming with an idea. Sarah looked up, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "We've been focusing on defense, on repelling the invasion," Kylax explained, moving to a holographic display of the Zarkonian fleet. "But what if we could end this conflict without further bloodshed? What if we could show my people that there's more to gain from cooperation than conquest?" As Kylax outlined his plan, Sarah felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. It was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy, but it just might work. They would need to act fast, and they would need help from every corner of the globe. Over the next few hours, Sarah and Kylax coordinated with scientists, engineers, and leaders from around the world. They worked feverishly, pushing the boundaries of human technology and combining it with Kylax's advanced knowledge in ways never before imagined. Their goal was ambitious: to create a device that could communicate directly with the Zarkonian mothership, bypassing the military chain of command and appealing directly to the Empire's scientific council. If they could demonstrate the unique potential of human-Zarkonian cooperation, they might just be able to turn the tide of the invasion. As they worked, the battle continued to rage above. The Zarkonian forces, frustrated by Earth's unexpected resistance, had resorted to more aggressive tactics. Cities around the world lay in ruins, and the human death toll mounted with each passing hour. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of work, Sarah stepped back from the hastily assembled device. It was an ugly thing, a jumble of Earth technology and salvaged Zarkonian components, but if their calculations were correct, it would serve its purpose. "It's ready," she announced, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "Now we just need to get it to the roof and hope they're willing to listen." As they made their way to the surface, escorted by a heavily armed security team, Sarah turned to Kylax. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "Once we do this, there's no going back. Your people might view you as a traitor." Kylax was quiet for a moment, then nodded firmly. "I am sure, Dr. Chen. What I've seen here on Earth, the courage, the ingenuity, the sheer determination of your species, it has changed me. The Empire has lost its way, but perhaps this can be a new beginning for both our peoples." They emerged onto the mountain's peak, the sky above them filled with the ominous silhouettes of Zarkonian warships. Sarah took a deep breath of the smoke-tinged air, steeling herself for what was to come. "Ready?" she asked, looking at Kylax. The alien nodded, his iridescent skin shimmering with determination. "Let us hope that wisdom prevails over warfare." Sarah activated the device. A beam of energy shot upward, carrying with it a complex signal that contained not just language, but a vast array of data, the fruits of their collaborative work over the past weeks. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. The battle continued to rage around them, energy weapons lighting up the sky. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. The Zarkonian ships froze in place, their weapons falling silent. A holographic projection flickered to life before them, revealing the stern visage of the Zarkonian High Commander. "This is most unexpected," the alien leader said, his eyes narrowing as he took in the sight of Kylax standing alongside the humans. "Explain yourself, traitor." Kylax stepped forward, his voice steady. "High Commander, I implore you to review the data we sent. What we've discovered here on Earth, it's beyond anything our scientists had imagined." Over the next hour, Kylax and Sarah presented their findings. They showed how the unique properties of Earth's core, combined with human ingenuity and Zarkonian technology, could revolutionize energy production, space travel, and even the nature of reality itself. The compound you seek, Sarah explained, it's not just a power source. When combined with human bioelectrical fields and Zarkonian quantum manipulation, it opens doorways to dimensions we've only theorized about. But it can't be forcibly extracted. It requires willing cooperation, a symbiosis between our species. The High Commander listened silently, his expression unreadable. When they finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "And you believe," he said slowly, "that our civilizations could coexist, collaborate." "I've seen what humans are capable of," Kylax replied. "Their adaptability, their creativity, it complements our advanced technology in ways I never thought possible. Together, we could achieve greatness beyond imagination." Another long pause. Then, to Sarah's immense relief, the High Commander nodded. "Your arguments are compelling. I will order a ceasefire and consult with the Imperial Science Council. Perhaps there is an alternative to conquest after all." As the hologram flickered out, cheers erupted from the human forces who had been watching the exchange. Sarah felt a wave of emotion wash over her, relief, exhaustion, and a cautious hope for the future. In the days that followed, a new era dawned for both Earth and the Zarkonian Empire. The invasion forces withdrew, replaced by diplomatic envoys and scientific missions. The process wasn't always smooth. There was mistrust on both sides, and extremist factions that resisted the change. But slowly, steadily, a partnership began to form. Research outposts were established around the globe, where humans and Zarkonians worked side by side to unlock the secrets of the universe. The compound in Earth's core, once the catalyst for invasion, became the foundation for unprecedented advancements in clean energy, medicine, and space exploration. 1 year after the day the Zarkonian fleet first appeared in Earth's skies, Sarah stood on the observation deck of humanity's first faster-than-light spacecraft. Beside her, Kylax gazed out at the stars, his expression one of wonder. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Sarah asked, still sometimes amazed by how far they'd come. Kylax shook his head, a very human gesture he picked up. "Never. When I first crashed on your world, I thought I was stranded among primitive beings. Instead, I found hope, a new path forward for both our peoples." Sarah smiled, reaching out to squeeze her friend's hand. "Well, Professor Kylax, ready to make history. Our first joint human-Zarkonian expedition to the galactic core awaits." As the ship's engines hummed to life, preparing to catapult them into the unknown, Sarah reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. It had begun with fear and prejudice on both sides, a hostile alien sneering at worthless monkeys. But through courage, compassion, and an unwavering belief in the potential for understanding, they had forged a future brighter than either civilization could have achieved alone. The stars beckoned, promising new adventures and challenges. But whatever the universe held in store, Sarah knew that the unlikely alliance between a curious human scientist and a Zarkonian who learned to see beyond his preconceptions would face it together. As Earth receded behind them, a small blue marble hanging in the vastness of space, Sarah whispered, "Look how far we've come." And with that, the ship leaped into hyperspace, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of two worlds united in the greatest adventure of all exploration, understanding, and the endless quest for knowledge. The Earthlings' gambit had paid off, not just in averting war, but in opening the door to a future limited only by the boundaries of imagination itself.